Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Medieval Hair Curling with the creative Contessa. As you can see, last night I had my hair done up, and by yeah, I didn't do it. Someone else, a lovely lady, Catalina did it. You'll see her in a moment. She did my hair in a technique using leaves, olive oil, a little bit of water, and rags to tie it all in place. And this is a method that is prescribed in the 12th century Guide to Women's Cosmetics, the Trotula. And so we've experimented with it, and it sat in my hair overnight. It's been over 12 hours at this point. So we're going to finish doing my hair. We're going to do the hair taping, and then we're going to unwrap the curls, and we'll see what awaits us on the other side of that process. So let's go. So we're going to be doing hair taping today. Yes, we're going to be doing a process called hair taping, and that's what we call it. There don't seem to be any particular references to it in original Italian sources. This is a way of getting your hair up off of your neck that doesn't use any pins. It is completely secure. You can wear this style for days, actually, and it will continue to look pretty damn decent. And it doesn't use elastics. It's good for your hair. It's just a really great way to bind your hair up off of your neck in general. And we know that in 15th century Florence, there used to be hairstylists on the street who would actually be paid, actually had their pop-up hair shops. And they would do the hair of the lower people on the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum. So that is how apparently servants and laborers and lower, artisans who couldn't afford their own servants would in fact have their hair done. And so it wasn't a question of only noble women did this to their hair. No. This was what everyone did to their hair in 15th century Florence because it was the very convenient way to get it done. But as I said, very confident they did not do it every day because I've experimented unwillingly with having my hair bound up with hair taping for over a week because one Penzic, all my damsels abandoned me before the end of the event, and I had no one to take out the ribbons, and so I traveled from the United States to Korea via India for 47 hours with my hair taped, and it actually held pretty well. So I can tell you that you can probably get away with doing this comfortably and neatly every 4 days, but if you need to, you could leave it in for longer than that. So it's a very stable hairstyle. And especially for people with heavy hair, it would be good because it distributes the weight of the hair evenly across the skull and across the neck instead of having one big massive bun sort of attenuant to the back of the head. So the tape that we're using is not an adhesive tape. People think tape means just something, an adhesive strip of plastic, but originally the word tape just meant a narrow band of fabric, actually. And we did have in the Middle Ages tape that was adhesive. It was made adhesive with a combination of pitch and wax and some other oils to make it sticky, but it was not used the way we use tape now. But this is non-adhesive tape. It is just a narrow woven band of linen, which is very nice because linen is antimicrobial and will also absorb things like sweat if you should sweat from your scalp. So it will actually help keep your hair clean. It will also, where it's wrapped, it will protect it from any ash or soot in the air. Remember, the medieval world is a world lit only by fire. And that would be an absolute reality of living back then, that you would be constantly inundated with smoke of some kind, and your hair will absorb it if you do not protect it. So Catalina, what are you doing to my hair right now other than combing it beautifully? Because I can feel that and I love that.
So currently what I am doing is I have broken apart the hair into several different sections because when you do wear your hair up like this for days at a time and you let your hair naturally oil itself, it seems to always get oilier at the top. At least that's what it looks like because the oil is produced from the scalp. However, the beautiful part of that is humans obviously have bodies that are built to take care of themselves as much as it can. And so when you go through and break up the hair that has bound itself together, not only does it lay prettier, let you style it, it also helps knock out dust and that same soot and ash that you were talking about before. It also distributes the oil through the hair itself, letting it actually close the sheathing around the myelin, which is the center of the hair itself, which is what makes hair feel rough versus smooth. So when it closes, it actually makes it more resistant to water and to breaking and all of those things. So what I'm doing is I'm working from the tips as I began. First, taking the whitest part of the comb and breaking up the knots and the parts of the hair that throughout wear just tie itself together, as is the nature of hair. And now that I have reached the root, I'm taking and going through and getting everything laying in the same direction. And I take the finer comb and work the oil from the roots down through the hair to work as like a natural hairstyling product.
Right. And so one of the things I keep seeing in the comments about this comb is that, oh, the narrow tines were only used for knits. Well, they work well for knits as well, but things can perform more than one function. So yes, these combs could remove lice and nits from the hair, and did for certain. But also, those narrow tines, as Catalina was just saying, are an essential component to cleaning and conditioning the hair. I don't understand why people have this, it's either or. It is an either or. One tool can serve many functions, and in the medieval world, it was best that you had a single tool for multiple purposes. This is not a world of industrialization with machinery driven by steam power. Everything is handmade, and so it's best if one tool can, in fact, serve multiple purposes. Yeah. Eleanor, would you mind just taking a look to make sure we're actually still...
You are. I'm
Excellent.
going to adjust it slightly.
Yes,
so that there
absolutely.
is a better vantage point.
Absolutely. And I apologize if for those in the live chat, we are unable to really address comments. So chat amongst yourselves, and I apologize for any trolls. I don't have a production company. I am a one woman production, basically. Sometimes I have someone to monitor what's happening out there, but not always.
I can tell you what someone said.
Oh yes. If you...
Mostly comments saying hello, how are you? Tom, of course, says, "Oh, I am here in smoke of some kind." Susan Plasta,
Yes, Susan. Just say Susan.
Says, "How is Catalina and pregnancy going?" This is a different Catalina.
Different Catalina.
Yes.
Different Catalina.
Different Catalina. We live in a Catalina-rich environment.
Yes.
This is Catalina la ornatrice, the stylist, and Catalina, the mother Catalina, Mona Catalina. She is off somewhere else, but she is enjoying herself immensely and doing the best given the circumstances of pregnancy, making her queasy on a regular basis. So thank you for that question, Susan. So for those who don't know, we are here at the Pennsic War, and we are almost at the end of this fantastic event. The weather has not proven as awful this week as it should have, but we're expecting perhaps for a turn for the sadly worse, just in time to pack down. But otherwise, we've been enjoying some magical evenings here in our encampment amongst our companions with live music and dancing and reveling and gambling and drinking, and it has been most lovely. My Lord John, you look quite dapper, sir.
Why, thank you. I come before you, good Contessa, to ask your blessing as I enter into the life of arms at the Known World Squires Tournament. I hope to do my devoir today and to show the world my quality.
Sir, you have not only my blessing, but my encouragement to go and wreak havoc upon the battlefield in the most elegant manner you possibly can manage.
This humble squire goes forth in good heart. I thank thee.
Come back with reports of great deeds, sir.
I will.
Welcome to my beautiful world.
Indeed. I am getting ready to start with the hair taping, which in this instance requires threading the needle. Fortunately, this needle is much larger and much more blunt than typically very sharp needles. That is one of the things that I have unfortunately seen many people try to do and then hurt themselves with, and that is not what was intended. They were not the same kind of needle.
Could you, once you get it laced, because it's a very long ribbon, if you could just show it closer to the camera. So
Yes.
This is what we now call a lacing bodkin. In the 15th century, I have not actually yet found a 15th century Italian term for this particular tool. It doesn't mean it's not out there. I haven't done the research on the terminology on this particular item, but it's carved of bone, and it is very important, as my dear Catalina just said, not a sharp needle, not a sharp, I repeat, this is not piercing. You're basically just using this bodkin to provide a point to allow the ribbon, the tape as it's called, to pass through the hair easily. So yeah.
It is actually a technique that is very akin to stitching in the tails in crochet or knitting. When I first learned how to do this technique, obviously I was not handed a bone needle at first. They actually handed me practice needles that were plastic from those same sources, as they functioned well enough to help you learn the hand motions without having to go find someone that could carve bone that way, as they are not as readily accessible as they were back then.
Interestingly, the living history community has so grown that all of these medieval, Renaissance, and early modern tools are now much more procurable. In fact, if you're interested in a replica medieval comb, the products might be too, hopefully they're, I'm sorry, let me know if the little products tag is too big across the screen. I'll have Stefano fix it when he gets back. There are two lovely replica medieval combs if you're looking for one. They are laser cut, they're not hand carved, which is why their price is very reasonable. But as always, if you purchase one of those two combs, I do get a commission for that. Full disclosure. Welcome to my horrible world.
Questions about the weather and how we
Yes.
get the power outages.
Oh, yes. So some of you may have heard. Oh, the irony. So there was a power outage in large part of the encampment of the Cooper's Lake campground. And apocryphally, I've heard that it was because a vehicle ran into a power line or some such. I have not confirmed that. So we can make up whatever tale we like at this point, I suppose. Point is that power went out across the encampment. And while the power for our encampment was not the concern, because we run a very medieval ship here, the water was also affected. So we had no running water from the pumps because the water here is pump driven. Pumps are driven by power, and we do not have solar power or water power. We have electrical power. So we did have many encampments ran out of power overnight. Thankfully, we did have a supply of water in camp that got us through to this morning. But that is a good lesson, a good cautionary tale for people at a living history event. Don't count on the modern amenities that many of these sites actually offer to always be available, because things happen. However, many of the encampments across this site do rely on electricity, irony of ironies, and so they were not able to actually cook dinner or clean up from dinner last night. There were some camps that were quite short on water. There were no showers, for instance. So there are actual benefits to going as authentic as possible in these circumstances. See, it's not just snobbery. Aha.
It's snobbery with a purpose. It's beneficial.
Being independent of the modern conveniences may be of boon to you in these circumstances. And alas, in the United States, very often across various parts of the country, the power goes out for protracted periods. The water supply goes out for protracted periods. I was in Asheville during Hurricane Helene, and we had no running water and no power for 3 days. So that was exciting.
Says with no electric, it got medieval up in there.
It did, but we felt it not, did we, ladies? Not a jot. We enjoyed our revels in the fullest. We felt not a bit the loss of power, but we did hear the laments of some of our neighbors who did absolutely feel it. The lamentations of the women, actually in this case, the lamentations of the men also.
The lamentations fall.
For those who get the Conan reference, you're welcome. And those, if you're wondering what it feels like, I love having my hair taped. It feels a bit like a massage, because every time the bone all kind of passes across my scalp, it feels like a lovely massage. I can feel the blood being stimulated in that specific spot. There's no pulling, there's no snapping of hair. That's another lovely thing about this technique.
One of the biggest ways you can keep from hurting either yourself when you stitch or hurting the other person as you are stitching hair is you are not stabbing into the hair like you might with very, very heavy fabric. What you are actually doing is you will usually start from low. I prefer to go from the bottom to the top just because that pulls the hair in a natural direction. You start flat with the scalp and you literally run right along it and then push the bottom of the needle gently against the scalp so that it pulls the tip up and away from the hair itself. So there is not really any pressure that they feel except for the fact of the needle sliding along the scalp no more painfully than you might slide glasses against your ears.
Yes, it feels like a single tine of the comb, just gently passing across the scalp. It's quite lovely.
Question for Susan. Will Catalina, the Ordinatrix, and Dame Eleanor help you finish dressing for your last dance class?
Today, so actually I am fully dressed already. So you see, I know you're seeing the towel. The towel is because oil is going to be used in the process of the curls. So we're protecting, this is actually called a head sheet. In 15th century English, this is referred to as a head sheet. And literally what this is to protect your clothing and your person from whatever is happening to your head. So that is why. But otherwise, I am indeed fully dressed already. So I really do recommend that you get fully dressed before doing hair and makeup, because you don't want clothing dragging across your freshly coiffed hair, and you definitely do not want cosmetics either getting upon your clothing or being disturbed or ruined by fabric dragging across your face. So my last dance class is tomorrow. And that shall be Fia Guillemina for 4. But for those of you who are enjoying medieval and Renaissance beauty, today at 5 p.m. East Coast Standard Time, or yes, daylight time? No, Standard Time. East Coast Standard Time, we shall be touring the beautiful makeups, cosmetics, and skincare products of Cosmetica Obscura, the two lovely ladies who've been vigorously researching and recreating historical skincare and cosmetic products. And they have many new items that they have developed since last year. So we're going to be getting a history of beauty in a practical angle at 5 p.m. Come and join in that live stream, and you're going to learn quite a lot. I'm going to learn quite a lot. I'm excited. I can't wait.
I'm not sure I understand this question, but Eric asks, when is the next boat ride?
Eric, if you could clarify what you mean by boat, or do you mean when I shall journey back across the ocean? Perhaps I shall be journeying back across the great ocean this time next week. Or actually a week and a bit from the day. And this time I shall be sojourning via the Mughal court in Delhi. So that will be quite a longer journey than the one I took to get here, but we shall see. And I'm flying, I'm sojourning on the ships that carry people to and from the Mughal court, and they have a varied reputation. So we shall see how that goes.
Susan says, will you also visit Armor and Castings as well as Cosmetica Obscura?
Well, Armor and Castings are not here personally, but their wares are here. So yes, I think we shall be doing a tour of some of their items, so you can see some of them more in person. They do, of course, they might be sold out by the time we get there. They have really beautiful things. Okay, so here is the finished. Isn't that beautiful? And it doesn't feel heavy. It feels well distributed. No hair is pulling. You know, normally if you do a standard bun, it feels like someone has scraped your hair from your scalp in an attempt to render you bald. But this is just such a beautiful, gentle way. But look, not a single bit of motion. Excellent.
I have brought the camera closer to give a close-up of
Yes.
the
Two of the best parts about doing hair taping like this is if you are not yanking it so tight that you are strangulating the hair, which is better, you can adjust the taping ever so slightly if you have someone who can see it, so that if you have layers or split ends or hair that you are working on regrowing to a longer length, it allows you to disguise and not suffer from the hair slipping out and wisping itself out. Even though that would not compromise the structure of the hair, it just makes it look nicer. And let's be real, who doesn't want their hair to look nice?
Yes. Yeah, it's in the name, ornatrix, someone who ornaments. Okay, excellent. So I think we're ready to move on to the uncurling.
Indeed.
Okay, let's see. I think maybe it's best for this if I turn around this way. What do you think? What's easier for you? Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay.
Haas says hello and wow, beautiful.
Haas. This is Haas. So everyone, Haas is one of my devoted followers from damn it, my words. He's from Pakistan. And so he's been following me for a very long time. Thank you for coming today, Haas. Okay, so why don't we talk
Twitchy
about...
Witch also says hello.
Twitchy, lovely to see you. Good morning from the Americas. Yeah, we're just about to do the uncurling, so excellent. Okay, so do you want to explain? Let's talk about what we did.
So what was originally proposed was using the technique of leaves as part of a curling aid when rolling one's hair. It is not too dissimilar to the method that we use now, like rag curlers, except the fabrics we have now work differently. And so what we did is we actually cut strips of linen. I typically go between 1.5 and 2 inches and about 8 to 14 inches long, depending on the thickness of your hair and all of that. And then we took leaves. I go for longer and of about, once again, 2 to 3 inch width for what I'm looking for. If it has injury on the tips, it doesn't really matter. If you may hold that, my lady. Thank you. And so what I did is, obviously you're pulling a leaf right off a tree. Rinse it, wash it. You don't want dirt and pollen in your hair. You will be sneezing. It is not enjoyable. And so I have found that cutting the stiffest part of the stem off is most beneficial. And when you do this, you will fold the long tip over and then begin to roll so that it creates a stable base and a much more structured cylindrical shape that then can be tied once you have wrapped the hair within it, and you have a curler.
So you also treated the leaves with oil.
I did.
You?
I
Yes.
did indeed. The reason I treated the leaves with oil is, once again, when you rinse something, it often pulls all of the moisture out of it. And since leaves retain their ability to stay stiff by the moisture, the trigger pressure within the leaf itself, sealing it with oil made it stay more the shape we needed. It also meant that the oils of your hair would not be soaked out into the leaf itself, allowing it to actually style the hair. And it also made a more smooth surface, allowing the hair to hopefully end up shinier.
And when we did this a couple of days ago, and my hair was so silky, that I just spent the day petting it. I just like, I was so sad when we had to style it in a different manner. It felt so nice. It felt so lovely. Okay, so now comes the big reveal. So let's see how it went. So the first experiment, we only had 2 hours of curling setting, and that was very much not enough. It was not enough time. So this is now set for 11 hours at this point, 12, 13 hours at this point.
And you have curls.
I love that they asked Ryan to move the camera back.
Oh, yeah, so Stefano is not here, everyone. The condottiero is, he's off looting somewhere. L-U-T-I-N-G, not L-O-O-T-I-N-G.
They asked to know what type of leaf Catalina chose.
That is a valid question, and I wish we knew. So we are in a part of the world where I am not so familiar with the flora and fauna, and the flora here is certainly, God knows, different than it would have been in Salerno, the place that this technique originates in Italy. So maybe we should show them the leaf again.
Indeed.
And see if can any of you identify this leaf?
I will get the leaf.
If you will get I would appreciate that.
Uncurl one of those leaves. It's a giant, large tree.
It
has oblong leaves that look more or less like this.
Here is the leaf.
That is the leaf. I suppose we could use some. We could consult certain charlatans by providing them with a sketch of the leaf, and perhaps they would be able to inform us, hypothetically and perhaps incorrectly, what kind of tree it is.
Or maybe one amongst our camp that could do that as well.
I believe, unfortunately, I did not bring Trotula with me. I meant to. I think, if I recall the original instructions correctly, it should be a wine leaf, a grape leaf, which would make sense because that part of the world is full of grape leaves and not necessarily full of leafy trees. So we don't have any vineyards hereabout, and therefore weren't able to find them. So this was more a question of how to make the leaf work, because the original instructions just say to wrap the hair, to tie the hair up with a leaf. Leaves themselves, though, don't tie. They don't have that kind of flexibility in their nature. So I feel like the tying up must imply some kind of yarn, thread, fabric, something, rope, God knows. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying these are things that tie. And so we have therefore experimented with these linen strips. Now these strips, these bits of linen would have been called clouts in Middle English. And, you know, we don't know if maybe perhaps they would have finished the edges so that you have more longevity for these curlers. And I suspect they probably would have, because fabric was insanely expensive and raw edges deteriorate. This, however, we haven't had time to do that. But I can now take these strips home and just do a quick whip stitch all the way around the edges, and that would preserve them and make them reusable.
One of the really beautiful parts of a technique like this is based on a person's hair. It curls differently based on density and how thick and how much moisture it retains, and honestly what part of the world you're in. All of those things affect hair very greatly. And the entire concept behind curlers like this is you have a shape that helps the hair retain the shape it dries around, because when hair dries, it reforms its bonds after being wetted, which is what allows it to maintain the shape. That is why we use both water when we curl hair and or heat. Those are the two things that allows hair to reshape. And so in doing this, we pick the shape, such as rolling the leaf, but the linen or whatever fiber is in between is best if it is very, very porous and the air is able to move through very easily, because that lets the hair dry without being compacted upon itself.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, what do we think?
Eric says it looks like curly fries for the kids.
Lovely, Eric, thank you.
Because what we can do
says they look beautiful.
is, as hair is parted into its sections, because when I set these curls in the curlers, I took and brushed from about the middle of the hair down and then up, water with a little bit of olive oil mixed within it. So it often creates a pieciness or a division up at the root that makes the curls set so beautifully at the ends. But when you first undo them, you let them lay to see how they set, and you can go back and break up the roots so that they seem more elegantly arranged and less divided in a numerical pattern. There you go.
Okay, so then we can leave it like this, or there is an option to pick the curls apart to create massive frizz.
Yes, they would do that very well.
Yes.
One of the best methods of actually getting the level of poof is you would take the curl, hold just the tip, and you are able to slide the curl itself up so that you can shorten them and give them great volume. And every time you do this, you can just re-roll it to help it keep its original curl, which if you've ever undone curlers and they suddenly weren't the shape you thought they were it's most likely because they got flipped. You literally just tell them to roll the correct way. Hair is very much a communication, not a domination.
Yes. Don't think you will bully your hair.
No. You will convince it. You do not win a fight.
Okay, so what do you think? Leave it like this? What does my damsel think?
I think it looks tremendous.
Yes. What does my best bosom buddy of 32 years think?
I'm impressed. I don't know that I've ever seen your hair look that perfectly curled.
Yes. Well, I think so now it's a longevity test, right? So now it's warm. It's not terribly warm. It's not hot, but it is a little warm today. It is humid. So now we shall see how long these hold in these conditions, and how stubborn my hair is in either trying to reform itself to whatever the hell it wants, versus what we want. So stay tuned for a couple of hours from now when we're at Cosmetica Obscura, and you can see a couple of hours progression, and then we'll try to capture the moment before I retire this evening so we can see what many hours of wearing is. Okay, are there any final questions?
Twitchy Witch says the curls look straight from a Botticelli.
Thank you, Twitchy. We may have high five. Yes. We may have finally done it. I may have finally found, because here's been my quest. My quest has been a technique for creating curls that look like the portraits, that do not use modern curling implements, and that do not use heat. Because specifically, I just don't want to damage my hair that way.
Indeed.
And also because I have goose egg evidence for curling irons being used, any kind of curling iron being used in 15th century Italy in this time. There's just no evidence for it. Neither documentary nor archaeological nor visual, right? So this, I think maybe we may have finally set upon the thing. And I don't know if you can see how shiny these curls are in the camera. Maybe if we come up close.
Haas wants Ryan to show what he's wearing.
Stefano is not here, Haas. Sorry. I can see the shine like from the light
I can
glistening in.
see it from here.
Oh yes, it
It
is.
is.
Your hair looks the color of golden caramel.
So yeah, so I think we may have settled upon the method. My
Heck
dearest
yeah.
Catalina, thank you for this bringing my dream to life. Of course, it was a fun experiment indeed. Okay, any final questions, anyone, before we part company for the nonce, and shall rejoin, where we will talk about the rest of the face, taking care of your skin, all the wonderful ways that we could learn from historical recipes to create modern skincare lines that are all natural and also very, very good for your skin. Any final anything?
Someone asked if you were at Penzic, somebody else confirmed.
Yes.
Just general comments of this was exciting.
So please don't forget to like and subscribe, everyone. And thanks to my patrons and my channel members and my Facebook subscribers for actually giving me money to keep me doing this. If you would like to be a person who gives me money to do this, and have access also therefore to a wide array of extra footage, tutorials, videos, entire dance lessons that are only shared with my financial backers, and consider becoming a supporter. Also access to my Creative Contessa Discord server, where we not just bullshit but also discuss real things and share resources and knowledge. So otherwise, and that's the Creative Contessa, in case you're wondering. If you have any questions and we didn't answer them, we apologize. Pop them in the comments under the video when it posts. If you're watching this as a recording, questions, pop them under the comments and we will endeavor to respond to them. Otherwise, everyone, hopefully see you in a couple of hours. Stay creative until then. Bye, everyone. Hit the X. X marks the spot.